What's up, fam? It's your girl Starshu. How are you doing today? Welcome to day 10 of our Purpose Driven Challenge. This is a 40-day journey. So we are today on day 10. That means 1/4 of the way. That's exciting. But that also means that we have still a journey ahead of us. And so I hope you're tagging along. I hope you're cruising along. And today we're talking about the heart of worship. We're talking about a heart of worship. Yesterday we talked about making God smile. And I hope you did find ways to make God smile. And one of the ways you can make God smile, it's having a heart of worship. And the author says here that the heart of worship is a surrendered heart. It's a heart of surrender. I know that is not a common word. That is not an easy word, especially in this day and age, when everyone wants to be strong, the tough guy, the tough girl in the room, and no one wants to surrender or let go of their will, their way. But in this chapter, we are learning that a surrendered heart is a heart that is a heart of worship. Remember, we also talked about the fact that worship was not just about a song or going to church, but it was about your heart posture. It was about everything you do. Are you living a life that is pleasing to God? And so having a surrendered heart is the heart of worship. One thing that blocks people from having that surrendered heart or having that heart posture, as the author says, is pride. There are so many things, but you have pride, idols, you have money, you have fear of, if I surrender, if I let go of my will, my way, this person is going to take advantage of me. But God doesn't take advantage of anyone. As a matter of fact, when we are surrendered, I would like to say we are the ones who take advantage of God, because in that posture, He can walk with us. Remember, God says that He resists the proud, but He gives grace to the humble. So if you're having a heart that is surrendered and that posture, you will always find grace. Another thing the author says here is that in order for us to really have that posture of surrender and that surrendered heart, it requires trust and obedience. We talked about Noah, who trusted God and obeyed wholeheartedly. And so having that surrendered heart is going to require trust. But I know that God is able to be trusted. You can trust God. I can trust God. I know that there are a lot of times when people think about difficulties and things that happen to them that are tough and challenging, and then they feel like, no, they cannot trust God. Some people can say, oh, I'm going to take matters into my own hands and all of that. But to have that surrendered heart, you have to have trust, and you have to really be obedient. Just like Noah was obedient, just like Abraham was obedient. God called him and said, walk before me and be perfect, and I'm going to make you great. I'll make your descendants great. And He gave him all kinds of promises. I'll make you a father of nations. For God to be able to walk with you, for you to even be able to see your purpose and walk in it, you have to have trust for God, and you have to also be very obedient. Another thing that the author notes as well, and which is worthy of us noting, is that a surrendered heart is not weakness. When I think about this, and when I was reading this, I thought about the fact that we are in an age where, again, everyone wants to stand up for their rights, and there's all movements here and there, pushing one agenda or the other, and it looks like surrender or even submission. Surrender is like submission. It's not weakness. When you think about the man, when I was reading this, thinking about Moses, who was the meekest man on the face of the earth. And it was not weakness. Through his meekness, God was able to deliver the children of Israel, God was able to use him. So sometimes God will say, speak. Sometimes God will say, don't speak. So surrender is not weakness. As a matter of fact, surrender is enhancing our uniqueness, enhancing our uniqueness, is enhancing our beauty, I can say. And even if I were to go delve deeper into this, which I probably don't want to do that on this show today, but even talking about the fact that, you know, God asks us to submit as women or as wives, you realize that there is a beauty in that. So as wives have to submit to their husbands, we as creatures of God, children of God, have to submit to God. And that also makes us look beautiful, attractive to our God. Because the picture of submission, just like it says in the Bible, talks about Christ and the church. So, or God and us. So submission is not weakness. Being surrendered is not weakness. As a matter of fact, it is strength. And talking about Moses, God was able to tell him, do this, go here, go show yourself to Pharaoh, go do this. And every instruction God gave him, he obeyed it. And when he did that, God's power was able to be manifest through him. And we see that he fulfilled his purpose. So there is power in living a surrendered life. The reason we know Moses today is because he lived a surrendered life. The reason we know Jesus is because Jesus lived a surrendered life. When you think about Mary, when the angel came to her and said, you're going to give birth to a son and his name will be called Jesus and he will save his people from their sins, she surrendered. And that's why we know her today. So there is power in living a surrendered life. And, you know, the last thing to mention here is that, again, surrender is not foolishness. It is sensible. It is actually the most sensible thing that you can do. When you're living a surrendered life, you are not foolish, you are wise, because that's the only way that chaos is going to be out of your life. So the question today for us is, what areas of our lives are we holding back? What areas can we trust God in more fully? I want you to think about that. Are you surrendered? Are you living a surrendered life? Are you thinking it's foolishness? Be it even in your relationship with maybe your spouse, your relationship with your leader, your relationship with your boss at work. Remember, when we're talking about purpose, it encompasses the whole of our lives. So it's not just about one thing or one area. It really is going to encompass your whole life. So think about, what areas are you not trusting God, or do you need to trust God by being surrendered? And let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. Share with someone and like the video. And I'll see you on day 11 of our Purpose Driven Challenge. Thank you and see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.